Joining us on the news at 10, we're staying with developments at the National Assembly, where the Senate has suspended Senator Abdul Ningi, representing Bauchi Central, for making false allegations of budget padding to the tune of 3.7 trillion naira. And this is as the Senate also cautioned the lawmaker, representing Kano South, Sumaila Kawu, to refrain from posting items capable of causing division and breakdown of law and order. However, the upper legislative chamber in its resolutions offered to give Senator Ningi a soft landing, provided he tenders an unreserved apology through a letter addressed to the Senate, and that will be deliberated by over other lawmakers for the legislative action. National Assembly correspondent Jesu Adewi reports.
Tuesday's plenary session was tension-soaked as the Senate brought up allegations and derogatory comments made by one of its members representing Bauchi Central Senatorial District, Senator Abdul Ningi, against the presidency and the Nigerian Senate for allegedly pardoning of the 2024 budget to the tune of 3.7 trillion naira. Rising on the Senate's standing orders, Chairman of the Senate's Committee on Appropriations, Senator Lawmaker, claims there is a breach of his constitutional privileges in the interview granted by Senator Ningi. The chairman goes to explain that the 3.7 trillion naira in question is for statutory transfers to government agencies on first-line charge.
There are agencies of the government whose budgets and their details are not contained in these two documents because they are statutory agencies and their money are on first-line charge. Agencies such as one, the judiciary. The judiciary budget details is not contained in this document. Two, the National Assembly. The National Assembly budget details is not contained in this document.
President of the Senate throws the floor open to other lawmakers to contribute to the matter, including the man in the eye of the storm, Abdul Ningi. He was also given his right to be heard.
This is a fake contribution that was forwarded. I do not know the author of this.
Senator Jaribe, in his contributions, also stirred the honest nest with another allegation of 500 million naira he claimed was given to senators for execution of projects, but he later made some amendments and clarifications to his allegations. After much talk, the Senate resolved to suspend Senator Abdul Ningi from all activities of the National Assembly for 3 months, including withdrawing all his entitlement, and mandated him to stay away from the National Assembly premises.
Those in support of the suspension for 3 months say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
The upper legislative chamber also gave the lawmaker a chance to tender a written apology to the Senate, which will be subject to the consideration of lawmakers for further legislative action. This may not be the end of the matter, and it may also not be the end of the turbulence in the Senate. But the Senate's leadership have succeeded in showing the public that all allegations of padding are untrue, and in the process further heightened the tension that already exists in the red chambers. Jesu Adewi, TVC News, Abuja.
Meanwhile, the senator representing Bauchi Central, Abdul Ningi, has resigned as chairman, Northern Senators Forum. The resignation letter was dated March 11th. A copy was made public shortly after Mr. Ningi was suspended for 3 months by the Senate over a statement on the alleged padding of the 2024 budget. And Senate spokesperson Yemi Adaramodu has described the act of alleged 2024 budget padding as illegal, while condemning the unstable utterance of Senator Abdul Ningi as an act to confuse the nation.
It's not only grievous, it's not only grave, it is very abnormal and quite illegal, very unconstitutional. And anybody that can be caught with budget padding in Nigeria should just be taken to the legislative and the legal Golgotha and get crucified. So because of that, we have to ensure and make sure that we get to the nitty-gritty and to dust the real bottom of it, how and where and when, and how is budget being padded. Yes, for 2 or even 1 day ago, we found out that our distinguished senator, our colleague, started recanting, started saying, talking about semantics, talking about lexicography, that yes, he said so, he did not say that, he meant this, he did not meant that. He said the president was maybe implementing a very different budget from the one that the National Assembly passed, that he did not say that one, and this is what he was saying. All this was just mere confusing staccato by somebody who wanted to confuse the whole nation and even confuse everybody globally.
I'm joined now by a senator in the 8th National Assembly, Senator Shehu Sani. Thank you for joining us on TVC News at 10. So apart from the big deal of, budget padding, the allegation of budget padding, which the Senator Ningi later denied, he also touched on the issue of transparency when he said he doesn't know how much the Senate President and other principal officers receive as allowance. So what do you think is happening here? A situation where the said senator isn't able to prove his allegations, or what the Senate leader called an attempted civilian coup in the Senate?
Well, the whole issue is bottled up. But what is clear from this controversy was that Senator Ningi made a claim that the budget was padded to the tune of 3.7 trillion naira. And it is incumbent on him to prove, when he is called upon by the Senate, to prove where that padding took place. Well, you should know that it has been an unfortunate tradition in the history of the National Assembly that budgets have been padded, but it usually go unnoticed if there is no one that blows the whistle. And if you blow the whistle, you should know that you have to prove it when the honor and integrity of other members of the Senate are concerned. So it is about, it happened, but you have to prove it, and if you cannot prove it, you will now have to bear the consequences. This is what has happened. And naturally, sanctions have been imposed on people who engage in that act. To Nigerians, everyone knew that the National Assembly do pad budget, but it will be interesting for you to, before you go to the public, you should be well armed with the claim you made. When I was in the National Assembly in the 8th Senate, I made a claim that senators were being paid 13.5 million naira, and I was about to be suspended when the Senate President Bukola Saraki intervened and saved me from that suspension. And I have my own proofs because it was the alert I received. And I didn't say that everyone received 13.5, but I said this is what was sent to me. So if you make such a claim of pardon, you know that the integrity and the honor of all members of the Senate is at stake. You should be able to prove it. And if you can't, then you have given yourself up for sanction by the National Assembly. But in a country like this, when people have a lot of reservation about what happens in the National Assembly, certainly Ningi will be perceived from the general public as someone who has blew a whistle. So not that it does not happen, but you will be put in such a situation that you have to prove it. And to prove it is something very difficult, knowing the bureaucracy that exists within the labyrinth of the system. Yes.
Indeed, Senator, you shared that story about, the attempt to suspend you in a tweet earlier, but you also now added that if you talk too much, that you are going to see the repercussion, and also talking about the fact that it's perhaps why opposition can also not oppose too much. Is there any sense to which you're suggesting that this is political? The last time a member of the House of Reps talked about budget padding and was suspended for about 180 legislative days, if my memory serves me right, he belonged to the same party, as the majority.
Well, when you found yourself as a lawmaker, you are in a position to perform your duty and responsibility as a citizen, and one that is in trust of the conscience of the nation. And it is incumbent upon you to stand out, your shoulder high, to do what is right. So the options are before you when you go to the National Assembly and you see things going wrong. To say it and bear the consequences, or you keep quiet and then live in peace, and then like any other senator, you do what you do. For example, since 1999 to 2019, there were a lot of controversy over what senators do receive every month. And I went to the Senate as an activist, and I was one of those who were almost on a daily basis in the front of the National Assembly protesting that senators were collecting a humongous amount of money. So when I found myself there, there was a lot of pressure on me by the civil society as one of them, that I should do the needful and I should remove the veil and unveil the truth as regards to what happened. And I said what I said, and I was ready to bear the consequences of my thought and my conviction and my action. So if he is convinced that the budget was padded, he should be able to carry the sanction. But I believe that even though they said he should apologize, I don't think that Ningi will apologize from what he has said. But there should be a way to which a middle ground would be reached so that this issue can be addressed. And when a senator is suspended, it comes with a lot of sanction. One is that his salary, his entitlement, his allowances will be stopped. He will be denied access to his office, and he's expected not to operate within the premises of National Assembly, and he will not be allowed to participate in the plenary or perform oversight function or committee activities. So it comes with lots of sanction. So it's left for him, if he is convinced that that budget was actually padded, then he has nothing to apologize. But if it's not, and he cannot prove it, then he has to bear the consequences. That is the reason why he is there, to say the truth and to stand up courageously and be able to pay the price for what he has done. But whatever you say, you must be armed with facts on the ground, because out of 109 senators, you are one, and others will feel that their own integrity has been impeached. And when I said mine, I said I'm collecting this amount of money. I was ready to prove it. And then they knew the consequences of suspending me. And the Senate President at that time, Bukola Saraki, intervened and said I shouldn't be suspended. So as a member of National Assembly, as a senator or member of House of Reps, you shouldn't make claims that you have no facts to back it up.
That's how much we can go. Senator in the 8th National Assembly, Senator Shehu Sani, Shehu